Thank you. I appreciate you guys giving me a chance to come up and visit with you and talk with you. We haven't really recruited this area very hard, being it's such Big Ten country. I played at Iowa and spent 10 years at Iowa, and I certainly recognize the quality of players that y'all put out up here in Chicago. Without question, it's a great recruiting area. Hasn't been something that we felt being in the Big 8 that we get enough recognition. We could come in here and fight the 11 Big Ten schools that are all up here, and I know just about every one of them is here. But it is great to have a chance to meet you. I'm going to visit and talk about pattern recognition and pattern reads out of our zone coverages, basically half-field coverage and how we pattern read things, and then get into, if we have time, a little bit of cover 3 and the purpose of cover 3, okay, how we see it, okay, and the benefit of cover 3 along with the half-field pattern reads. As I'm going along, if anybody, if I'm down writing, please, if you got your hand up or just yell Bob, you know, yell at me, I'll stop and certainly answer questions on any questions that you do have. To start off with, what we feel our half-field coverage, our philosophy in it, okay, are 4 major points or 4 things that we really feel we get out of it. Number 1, it's going to disrupt the timing and placing of receivers and the quarterback. Every offense or every team in the country, all summer long, all spring long, anybody that has an indoor practice field, all winter long, all those quarterbacks and receivers do is they drop back 3 steps, drop back 5 steps, and they throw all those timed routes. The stop route, the slant route, you know, everything is perfect, okay? And their timing, and anymore, the timing of receivers and quarterbacks is so good, okay, that we feel we have got to throw them out of sync, okay? We got to make that quarterback pat that ball an extra time, okay? Got to make that receiver push him in farther than that quarterback's used to seeing him pushed in. Okay, shorten his route shorter than the quarterbacks used to having him there. So we are going to disrupt the timing and the placing of the receivers and the quarterback. Okay, number 2, or B, we're going to give the rush more time to reach the quarterback. As I said before, if we make that quarterback, his receiver isn't where he's used to him being all summer long. He's at that spot. He looks to throw it. He's not at that spot. He's got to pat the ball another time or 2. Gives your rush another split second to get off the block and get to the quarterback. See, it takes away the speed of the wide receivers. We get up against, if you got a 4-6 corner and you're playing against 4-3 wide receivers, okay, if you're asking him to play deep with that receiver all day, you're going to ask for some trouble. If you got some corners that may have average speed, average ability, okay, which is my next point, protects the cornerback's ability. It gives you a chance to roll them up, let them use maybe their physical and not quick, gives them a chance to get up and beat on that speed receiver before he has a chance to get off the line of scrimmage. Okay, so those are 2 points that you have a way to hide a corner or hide a kid that may not be a great cover guy, okay, but he's a great run support player, and you can find ways, okay, to get him on the field and protect him and protect his ability. I'm going to start, I'm going to start with the one back, we call it a spread set, okay, first, just because it's defined and it shows a little, the next one I put up will be a pro split backfield, okay, but from our base, and I'm not going to put the front in here to cloud this up, but from our base alignment, corners are outside eyes. They're going to be head up. I'll have them anywhere from nose up on the wide receivers. Okay, they're on the outside eye, real tight shade though. I don't want them shaded very much at all. Okay, and they're anywhere from on the nose on that line of scrimmage to 5 yards deep. Okay, if we call bump certain situations, we'll put bump with the coverage, and that they're going to play them nose up. Okay, other times they'll sink off. Other times you'll see, in the videotape we'll watch, you'll see the corner start to bail out and set it down late around 10 yards. I call that a Cathy technique. It's a soft corner jam is all. We just give it a name. And one thing I guess to talk and just that I gave that technique a name, a Cathy technique, rather than telling them just play it kind of soft. If you tell them just play a Cathy technique, if you give words, and that's something I've picked up from listening to guys like Tony Dungy, visited with Nick Saban with the Browns a long time, was just with Herm Edwards with the Chiefs, and just like your guys are doing, I really admire it. Anytime you get a chance to pick somebody's brain a little bit, listen to somebody, what I have found more than anything, the terminology you put with techniques, or the terminology you put with your defense, okay, helps you communicate and get things across so much easier, okay, with your players. And then when you go back to that same technique, you know, it's really, you're not wasting time describing what you're talking about. So, but anyway, it's, you know, we're talking about a Cathy Technique there. From us, we're a 4-3 defense, and I'll put it up the first time with our front. Okay, we're a 4-3, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch. If we're gonna play too deep, we're gonna stretch our backers, okay, in their gaps. So, and not to get too tied into that, but basically this backer, he's got to widen out to take the hot off of the number 2 receiver. Okay, and he's going to line up halfway between that wide receiver and the tackle. Okay, basically his B gap that he's responsible for right here. So he's going to line up halfway between. Now, if that's not far enough, they can still raise up and throw that ball and hit that receiver, and he gets more than 3 yards, he's got to widen a little bit more. But he is stretching himself between that gap responsibility and that wide receiver. This backer is responsible for protecting over this number 2 receiver, which I'll number him in a minute. He's going to widen between the A gap and that tight end. Okay, this Mike backer is going to split the B gap and the A gap. Now, just so you understand, I just got done listening to Gary Barnett next door. I walked in and listened to him for a few minutes. Of course, they're sitting over there scheming us, right? Offense, defense, everybody's strategy, 6 in the box, run the ball, right? And you can see why right here, why a team that plays too deep is not always gap responsible. We're going to try and fold. Well, you can see here what happens is those linebackers are stretched now. You're not as tough against the run. Okay, so, but anyway, this is something we will do, a team that we feel we are better than up front. We can stop the run with 6 in the box. Or it's 3rd down and 10, 2nd down and 10, we're willing to give you 4 or 5. Okay, but 1st and 10, a team that we can't dominate up front and stop and shut down the run, you will seldom see us in this. Okay, but okay, from here now, from our alignments, the safeties are 14 yards deep, 3-4 yards outside the hash. I tell them you always be in a position that if that receiver hits that boundary clean, that you can cover that boundary. And they're 14 yards because there's 2 receivers in their half, lined up in their half. If there was 1 receiver lined up in their half, they cut it down to 12 yards. Okay, so they're 12 to 14 depending on the number of receivers in their half. Okay, from here, we number receivers 1, 2, 1, 2 from outside in. In a balanced 1-back set, that back there is 3. And really, men, I'm going to talk about getting over 2, getting over 3, those kind of things, but don't get too hung up in the numbers. We teach our players patterns. Every team you're going to play in offense, they have set routes. And they're never, you know, unless they bust something, they aren't going to put 2 people in the same spot. So when someone's in front of you, there's usually someone in back of you. When someone's inside of you, there's usually somebody outside of you. So we want to recognize patterns as they develop. And how they do that, and I'm going to start from the inside, okay, is this linebacker is taught, as well as this one, to stay over the number 2 receiver. So to keep between the quarterback and the number 2 receiver, okay? And we want to reroute his route. So as he starts to release, we're going to widen, flat, okay, shuffle step outside, trying not to turn our shoulders. And we want to engage this receiver. We want to get our hands into him, and we want to take him out of his pattern. Okay? He's responsible now, not only for this receiver, he needs to understand the entire route. So what else can be happening? Right here, same thing. Get your hands on that receiver, reroute him, jam him, hold him up. They are responsible for staying over the number 2 receiver. Okay? This backer is going to sink back, and he's going to stay over the number 3 receiver. Okay, and as long as these 2 receivers stay vertical or on their side of the field, he will remain over this check down back. And I'll show you some patterns here in a minute. These corners now are going to reroute number one as they release. They're going to get their hands into him, and they're either going to shove him farther inside than he wants to be, or if they hit that boundary, okay, we're going to hold that boundary up to try and protect the boundary. And I'm going to go over those techniques after dinner, but I just want to get over the basic reads here in this segment. So as I engage the number 2 receiver, what else is happening with my pattern? Expand your vision, as well as it's important to communicate. That corner needs to communicate to his backer. Okay? The common route with everybody is the stretch route. Boundary release with the verticals up the middle. Vertical, boundary release. Okay? Corner's going to widen outside. They're going to post up with that outside arm, trying to protect them from getting up that boundary. They're going to pivot inside to the quarterback and throw that elbow and hip and try and block that receiver from getting up that boundary. Okay, and it's important. We talk about it's a hook technique. So as we turn inside, we want to try and hook that receiver and keep him from getting up that boundary. Okay, this backer now, as he expands his vision, he wants to widen this seam. Don't allow yourself to be beat inside. Okay, you want to widen that seam as it goes vertical. You expand your vision. If you see that receiver on the boundary, it's stretch. If you got to turn into this guy, whatever you got to do, but you run with him and you protect that seam at all costs. Never come off a seam when it's a stretch play. Okay, what other release then can happen off of this vertical release? Okay, so right here, we got a vertical release. I'm jamming that receiver. I'm widening that seam. I'm getting an inside release. That corner should be running that receiver down inside, and he ought to be screaming. In. He alerts that linebacker that he is getting an inside release. Okay, that backer as well, whether it's noisy in the stadium, maybe that's a freshman corner that doesn't use his mouth yet. Okay, that linebacker engages, and as he engages and starts to ride that seam, he gets his vision out to feel the route. He feels the inside release because now all of a sudden it's getting crowded in here in this space. That receiver's releasing inside. All right, he can feel it. That receiver is not releasing inside to stretch it. Okay, so it's no longer the stretch play. So now what he's going to do is he's going to sink and he's going to choke it down at 15 yards and wait for the squaring. And I'll show you footage of tape where we do it. He'll be riding that seam. He'll see it in, and whether he rode it a little too far, he'll flip back and he'll play that squaring. Okay, so you know everybody runs the same old routes to clear and square in behind it. Okay, so that's the only thing that'll ever take me off of a seam as a linebacker, off of the number 2 receiver. And what happened there when he squared in, he became 1, he became 2, correct? So this backer's rule is to stay with 2. Always protect between the number 2 receiver and the quarterback. Okay? The other thing that can happen was I jam and ride this seam. I can be getting a smash call. If a rolled corner ever gets a receiver that sets up on him 5 yards or under, that corner's going to sit on that stop route. Okay, he'll sit off a yard or 2, but he's screaming it. He's calling it smash, smash, smash to alert this backer, as well as the backer feels it. As he rides that seam, he sees, you know, the receiver stops out there, and he'll start right now, as he rides that seam, he'll start bypassing and he'll start cutting the outside hip off. So when they flag, he's going to try and get under there, and my safety back here is schooled. We do, and what we'll do, guys, is we'll work a 2-on, I'll work my receivers and backer, we'll just work this half of it, and we just work different patterns. And those guys get so used to, he sees, this half field player sees that stop route on that rolled corner, and you'll see that safety jump that flag, even if the backer blew it and didn't get under it. Sometimes they get so concerned about the vertical, you know, they'll turn inside and lose the seam. Okay, and it isn't always perfect. But when they feel it and they get the call, you'll see them slide under and start to cut the flag off. Okay, and as well as this safety's ready to jump that flag. Okay? As this guy pushes inside, we'll stay on it. And I know people do it the other way. When we're playing true quarter field, when we open that half up and we pull out the quarters, we play it the other way. But I don't feel you should play it the same way all the time. And this way, we have had great success in our half field coverage against this route. great success, and it's just from working it, I believe. It's funny, in the last 5 years, we've been at Kansas State now 5 years, we have been in the top 3 in pass defense every year that we've been there. 1 year we led the nation in pass defense. 2 years we were 2nd in the league in pass defense. And 2 years we were 3rd in the league in pass defense. 2 years ago we had 21 interceptions, which put us like 4th in the nation in interceptions. So we feel the things we do with our pattern reads have proven out, okay, to be successful. Okay, so again, what's happening here is that's a seam route. I'm going to protect that seam, okay, at all costs. If I'm getting a smash call, I'm going to start undercutting that outside, that underneath hip, okay, to protect the flag. Okay, so what are his rules so far? Vertical, protect that seam, right? Protect the seam at all costs. What will ever take you off of a seam route? It's a clear and square, right? The inside release on that corner, okay, for the 15-yard squaring. Anything else, you get on that seam, you ride that seam, and you protect it. Okay? Other releases you can get.
What is the linebacker's initial key? What's he watching?
They key ball first, or they're keying the one back first.
So, do they not have problems getting back to those seam routes? Let's say if they get some sort of fake.
Well, good question. This guy is really tough, right? He's checking that back out, but before he supports and plays like a true backer and supports that B gap, he's holding, he's waiting, and he's checking that seam first to see that ball pulled. Again, it's not as good for the run, is it? That's the purpose of cover 3, which I'll get into in a minute. So I'm not going to even try and say, and I've heard coaches say, oh, you're fine against the play action pass with verticals is tough. It's very tough. And you're going to be weak in one area. We're in it, like I said, long yardage, which I think is great. Take them out of their routes, take them out of their patterns. Or a team that we feel we can dominate up front and we can play with 6 in the box. A good team that's as good as you are, 1st and 10, they're going to get 4 or 5. Okay, if you live in this. Okay, or you can play, a lot of people read this. If they see the vertical, he'll pull out and they'll end up quarter here to protect, this seam. But as a standard rule, he is going to hold, and he is not going to support that run, that B gap, as quick as he's going to protect that vertical. Okay, so he's going to wait. If he sees the ball, the stretch play coming, he's sitting waiting, he sees it handing off, it's stretching to him anyhow. Then all he's got to do, he's got to beat that receiver into that B gap when that play stretches to him. Does that make sense? So he'll be a little bit late on that. When they read it well, when our front plays it well, they get 2 or 3, and we can live with that. Sometimes you shut it down totally. Other times they're going to get you for 4 or 5. And that's the weakness of it, and that's why every one-back team tells you, to run the ball if there's 6 in the box. So, getting back to our reads, okay, if other things that can happen, okay, right here with my reads, is I protect over 2, okay, he can go flat. If he leaves, okay, and goes outside, I'm going to widen, and I'm going to turn, and I'm going to pick up 1 coming in. Again, what happened? He became 1, he became 2. Okay, get under number 2 and stay with number 2. Okay, so he'll widen out. If it's a curl, you ought to eat up flattened curls. It's if these guys are doing anything at all, okay, they shouldn't be able to run a flatten a curl, because that route takes him right to the curl. And we'll physically, as we run out, we'll turn and we'll find that curl, and we'll look it up, hunt it up, get our hands on it, and get our head back. Okay, so we want to turn and hunt routes up. Now, if this guy were to flag, that's awful tough, because he'll start to hook up for the curl, okay, and they flag. All right, so our corner, the way he'll play that, as he's getting that, and that corner's getting an inside release, he's jamming it, he's calling in. He'll turn inside and work out at a 45-degree angle to sit off of that flat, so that if he does flag, he's between the flag and the flat. Okay?
Does he turn on, or is he backpedal? Which way does he turn?
He's going to turn into the receiver. So if that's on that side, he's releasing inside. There's the inside. He's jamming them. Okay, he's calling in to his linebacker. He's going to turn here, and he's going to run out at a controlled run, all right, at a 45-degree angle, so that he can see the route as he turns inside. And as he does that, he's going to feel, okay, what's going on here, so that if it is a flag and they throw the ball to the underneath shoulder, I expect that corner to make the play on the underneath shoulder and of course the safety on the top side shoulder. Okay? Okay, the only other thing now that can happen, okay, is that receiver can cross. Okay, that's your last key. If he crosses, all right, and that's where this backer comes into play now. Okay, if he crosses, he is no longer becoming 2. All right, if they block here and he crosses, all right, and say they run the smash route over here, okay, or say they're running verticals. That's going to take this guy out of this hole, isn't it? That's his role, play the vertical. All right, so he's gone with the vertical. This corner's protecting this boundary. Okay, this backer, middle backer's rule is stay over 3. As soon as there's a crosser, he jumps the crosser because that's 3. Okay, so he'll jump that crosser immediately, that Mike backer in the middle. He's going to jump the crosser because it's 3. Your role is, as a backer lined up over number 2, if your guy crosses the field, all right, to the other side, you immediately go back for the squaring, right here. Because normally when they run an under in front of you, they're bringing somebody in and back to square in behind it. Okay? So as they do this, again, you know, as they come here, he becomes 3. If they block this way, okay, he's becoming, as he blocks and maybe checks out, he'll become 1, he'll become 2. Okay? Again, we don't get so tied up in the numbers as we teach them routes. You get an under, you get a crosser, you turn, and you go straight back for the squaring and look for it. If it doesn't come, square back up, okay, and look to come up, you know, and close up on the check down. For instance, if this guy were to post, all right, and takes himself out of the square and check back up and try and squeeze back to the check. Okay, so it really, you know, holds true on any route. Let me show you. I'll show you now from a pro formation. Okay, and how we line up. We go Will, Mike, and Sam. Corner, strong, corner, free. Okay, he's keying 2, he's keying 2, he's keying 3. Okay, in this kind of situation, these two will communicate to each other banjo, which just means everybody's going to do this. You know, or they're going to cross those 2 up, you know, trying to change up who's 2 and who's 3. Okay, but as they did that, okay, he started off being 2, he started off 3. Once they're here, he's 2, he's 3, right? Mike's going to stay over 3. Sam's going to widen over 2. Okay, if 2 continues to the flat, he now became 1, he became 2. Get under 2. 3 is vertical, stay over 3, protect that seam. Okay? He's vertical, that's 2, protect that seam. Stay with it. If the tight end were to cross, Mike, that's 3, close that crosser. Okay, he stops, sit on it. Start calling it out, smash, smash, smash. If he's inside releasing, call it in. Will's running with the vertical. He's getting an in call. That'll take him off the square. That'll take him off the vertical because he's looking for the squaring. Any questions on this part of it? Okay. Let me go to I'll go to a trip set. It's okay, so we got corner again, we got Will, Mike, we got Sam's got to line up halfway out between his run responsibility and his pass responsibility. Corner, strong, and free. Okay, what are their keys? 2, because he's out on his vertical. He keys 2, Mike's keying 3. There's already a 3 receiver this side, and it's because it's a trip set. Okay, his key now is gone. He normally keys 2 this way, correct? What is his rule if the tight end was here and crossed that way? His 2 is already done what? Gone across. Okay, his 2 has already left him, so his job initially is to go straight back for the squaring. Does that make sense to you? How we communicate that to him? Your 2 has gone across already. Mike has already jumped him. When your guy leaves you, you go back to the squaring. Okay? So, if they're going to run verticals, okay, protect over 3, widen that seam, right, to your safety. You know, jam it, reroute it, protect the boundary release. Okay, it all holds true with verticals. So we're going to be running with all those seams. Okay? He'll run with it. What happens with the check, guys, a lot of people are going to run you off with verticals and then throw the check down, throw the ball to the check down back. He'll check for square in first. Okay, they block here, and then he releases. As soon as he sees stretch, he'll come back to that check. Okay, now they're going to run away from him. But that's what these corners have to do. They're going to jam that. They're going to jam and protect that boundary, right, to a point. And then they have to read the quarterback's intentions. He sees, you know, he starts to close, and this guy's beating him to the sideline. Okay, that back on a linebacker. You need to go, because the window's open right here. You got to close that window with the Mike or with the Will backer here that just came back for the check. So that Mike backer or Will backer, whoever's coming back on that check, has to have a point to chase to. So as he's squeezing that back and chasing that check, that corner's got to come close the window with him. He can't just run out and sink on that boundary. He's got to watch. As he does that, he's got to see the quarterback. And that quarterback's shoulder drops and he's dropping that check. He has to be screaming to come back and close the window with that backer. And we're doing it this way, guys, what we find a lot of times that quarterback, and we'll get in 7-on-7 to make our quarterback eat the ball quite a bit, because he'll go now, they read it all right, now I got my back, but you don't have the back now. It's like a matchup man. Now we come back and we're on that back. It's not like we're all sloughing back in zones, giving them the check down, and then they get 5 on the check. We want to take away the check as well. So after after he checks for squaring, he'll come back to the check. You know, in the last picture I showed you where the tight end was over here in a set, and they all go vertical, that Mike backer will sit right on, he'll check for crossers, right, for 3 coming from either side. No crossers, he'll come right back to the check. Okay? So right here, in another popular route, people are going to cross the tight end, square in at 15, right, verticals and verticals. In our alignment, in our coverages it handles it. Sam, protect vertical. Corner, widen. Protect that boundary. Mike, protect over 3, right? Three's leaving you, okay? Will, right now, he like we said, your 2 is already on the other side. Will come back for the square in and take the square in, as well as the free safety will be closing it. Okay, Mike will be following this tight end across that 3, squeezing it to his corner. Okay? So, again, with trips, you know, all the, I'll show you another, you know, the twin trips and how we adjust it. It holds true. Okay, we always have Sam to the tight end. Mike, Will now comes halfway between his gap responsibility and his receiver. We bring our corners over. It can be strong safety, however you line your people up. But in this kind of set, we're gonna over-rotate our secondary, okay, and leave our strong safety backside. So he's gonna be half field backside. He's half field this side. Responsible for corner here. Protect over 2. Protect over 3. Okay. He's going to protect over 1, which is right here. Mike here is going to protect over 2, this side. Okay? We get verticals, wall your vertical off. Popular out for everybody, stop and smash. Corner's going to run under that side, free's going to squeeze it. Okay, you get a lot of people, you know, there's only a few combinations you get from like the trip sets, and again, it's just working them. It's working them, and our people will sit there and we'll get in each of those formations, and we'll just run combinations in a 3-on-2 drill, and those guys get used to, okay, reading patterns. There's always someone underneath you, behind you, all of that, and it gets down to communicating it. Before we going kind of fast, any questions, you know, at all with the pattern reads before I get into some tape?
Do we attack those people, or we let them go 4 or 5 yards downfield, or is that something that's over there?
No, I'll go over it now. What you don't want to, those linebackers, those inside people, as those receivers release, it's more of a catch. You don't want to get over aggressive, lunging at them. You get to reaching at them, and they clear you. You don't want separation between you and the receiver. So as we slide out, it's a very controlled. You don't want to turn your shoulders where he beats you the opposite way. It's a controlled. Once we start to engage, now we get more physical. We want to get the hands into the chest plate if we can. If we can grab that chest plate, grab it, use those hands. Okay, the corners that line up on top of the people on the line of scrimmage often will be more aggressive. They'll get into the guy right now, and they're more used to doing it. The inside backers are more cautious. They don't want to lunge and create separation between themselves and the receiver. So it's a slide, it's an engage. And now I've caught the guy, and now I'm going to ride him. Okay, as I ride him, I want to try now to take him out of his pattern.
We want to try to get our hands on you. In college school, you can do that one ball not here.
That's right. And you know, they say that he can't be, once he's even with you or behind you, you can't touch him. They don't call that. Honestly, this year we played bump and run man, and really got to doing a lot of drills, and I'll show you a little later, using our hands. We were called once for pass interference. They don't call it, you know, and or for holding. So it's if they're allowing it, and to this point they are with us, use those hands, get on those receivers, and take them out of their routes. Let me show you some tape. You know, and it sounds, there you go. It sounds complicated, but honestly it isn't. I was at Iowa for 10 years and we never did that. And if you start with your players from day one this way, I find it easier to do this. Our whole concept, guys, is we're going to cover people, not spots or not grass. So we're going to go to where the people are and cover them as opposed to just covering spots. Here's a little, this is just a teaching tape that we give our young guys or new players coming in. And you can see us here, okay, we're in a base spread set. We got our wheel backer part way out here to the right side. He's going to widen, jam, get his hands on that receiver, protect that vertical. You can see how Mike, the middle backer, is going to sink off looking for crossers to close crossers. He doesn't get one. See how he comes up and takes the check away? So that's a good look at the stretch play. You see the corner up top trying to put his back on that receiver and hook him and not allow him up the boundary. Okay, here's a look at a couple patterns. Here the backer running with that inside seam is getting an in call from his corner. The corner, he can tell right now, if it's a stretch play, that guy's going to do anything he can to get on that boundary. Even if he's got to run out of bounds and on the water bucket. He is not going to get himself inside. So right here, that corner's riding him. He's getting an in call. So that backer's got his head outside. He sees it. He'll sit and wait for the squaring.
What's your half player looking at, Bob?
The half player is going to read ball first and always keys his outside receiver first. He's going to always key the outside receiver just to realize if he's getting stretched or not. Okay, and if he's not getting stretched, you know, then he'll tighten, he'll squeeze back inside a little bit more to the hash. If he is getting stretched, he's got to stay 3-4 yards outside that hash and wait. But he'll end up then, just like where I said before, he'll end up keying the outside guy first, and then he'll get a look in at number 2 as well. Up top, you get a look at the smash route. You see the corner here up top, reroute, and he's calling it out right now, smash. So the backer right away, the backer should have saw it even before he called it. The guy setting it down right there start to cut under the hip. Here's a look up top, or on the right side. You'll see the guy go outside right now. The backer's going to widen when he sees that and go outside to pick up one coming in. Here the corner, we always run with the trail routes. The corner's calling in. He gives off in case it's a flag and a flat, and then the sucker comes right to him. We call it a sucker route, trail route. There on the right side, we're going to go with it. Here you see the Mike backer in the middle. He sees a crosser. 3, that becomes 3, close the crosser. You see the backer up top, or on the left side. His guy leaves. Number 2 crosses, you go straight back for the squaring. And, you know, again, people run, you know, these patterns usually fit. I don't know if I've ever come across one where it hasn't fit. All right, here's a trip set. Pro trips. Okay, when I put up pro trips first with you guys, Mike backer's going to protect over number 3. That's the tight end, correct? If he leaves, now it becomes just as if it were a spread set. Does that make sense? If the tight end lined up on the left side and ran to the flat, okay, this is what we do. So again, when that 3 goes to the other side, he balances the set back up. So now it's 2 each way. He sits in the middle, comes back to the check. Is that all right? I hope I didn't foul you up with that. And you see the Will backer on the left side, 3 started away from him, so he's already crossed. Come back to the square end first and play it.
Bob, run that back. What if number 2 ran the drag and the tight end ran vertical? What would the Sam do?
Great question. Mike, if the tight end runs vertical, Sam's going to run with it, the middle backer. Okay? Our Sam backer out on number 2, if 2 ran an under route, just like the corner squeezes the smash route, he's going to squeeze it inside. Because it's
It'll take away the square end on the other side.
right. So the rules hold if an outside guy's running an under, a 5-yard under, you squeeze it and run with it. Chase it into the next inside guy. Here is out of twin trips now. Here's the smash route outside. You see our corners jamming, rerouting, and then slides under. The good thing, guys, also about half-field coverage is you take away quick throws, short throws, because you got 5 underneath cover people. And it makes a quarterback, if he isn't that polished, try and drop the ball into holes 20, 25, 15 to 25 yards deep. And a lot of them aren't comfortable doing that because we stay so tight to people. Here's just a flat and curl outside. People run, and you know, with the sucker route.
The half player seem more conscious to help Mike on this.
Yeah, he always realizes when we're we could be in a bad matchup. If we got a backer with the receiver inside, be ready to fold over him.
Yeah, he seems almost all the time you watching the linebacker.
If there's ever a crease, if we're being creased in the middle, they have always got to be careful of jumping something outside first.
What kind of shape are the underneath are the linebackers and corners in as far as seeing the quarterback when he's throwing the ball?
Sometimes they'll miss that. But I've seen a lot of guys see the ball thrown and not be in any position to make a play. Does that make sense too? You know, there is a little bit of a trade-off sometimes. You get caught, your head turned away. But I've seen a lot of people get to spots, see the ball thrown, and see it caught too. You know, they're not in a position close enough to react to it. So you try and find that happy medium where you're finding the receiver, and then we want to get our head back as quick as we can once we've engaged and we're at a point where we feel it can be thrown. Here's a good look. Did I miss a... Okay. Against the pro set. You see how we're doing a lot of... See, from this set, guys, we'll also send everybody in blitz. And, you know, the alignments I gave you, we seldom line up in them. we're going to be moving. We're going to show blitz and fall out of it. We really believe strongly in not letting the quarterback know what you're in before the snap. Here's a good look at the Sam and Mike with the banjo call. Tight end comes in, the back's out. So Mike picks it up and chases and protects the seam. Corner closing a little quick, I don't want to see him that quick on that flat route. Here, as you watch our Sam, we put Sam outside. It's just a variation in our front. Watch him pick up this crosser coming. He sinks back to the curl on the top of the screen. Feeling for it, and then he sees the opposite one coming and just takes him out. The half player, no. What I'll do, Dan, is I want him to jump him. And I want the other one then, if they were to cross, he should cross to the other side too.
See, if you and I are half players, I may not trust that you'll be there, but I know I've got to overlap myself.
Yeah. They're always responsible to stay inside of that widest receiver, you know, if on a post or squaring. So they may cross each other if that were ever to happen. Here's a look. Here's what you get out of it also, and why we bluff so much and show man. If you see here, we're showing man coverage or man free. Quarterback audible. Once the audible, we move to it, and they run a flat and a slant route on half field coverage is a dead route. Should be. Again, we bluff them into throwing. If you watch the top of the screen, watch our backer pick up when the tight end goes flat. He'll turn and engage one coming in. We're moving to 2 so you understand it here from a 3 look. Does that make sense? All right. Again, the disguise and the change-up is great. You see him trying to, right at the 40-yard line there, our backer turn and pick up the curl right now. Here's a great look at the seams, 4 verticals. Watch our backer at the bottom of the screen. I think ends up intercepting this one. Again, where's the quarterback going to throw it? Now, they may, you know, you can, like up top, the guy's starting to clear him. If he can drop it in there, they're going to hit, you know, every now and then. But I've seen this like in cover 3. I've seen 4 verticals hurt cover 3 as much as I've seen it hurt cover 2. Okay, so again, we feel better in this with seams, that we're running with the seams. That's just a little get open route. You see our corner does a nice job of how we post the outside. We watch him post what is out the bottom of the screen, post the outside arm. The guy, he ends up tripping the guy actually, and he ends up seeing the throw. He comes in on, that's just a little get open route on the inside backer. You see the backer turn and engage him, the tight end. Up top, you could see us pattern reading it. Look at the guy chases a little bit too far outside, turns and tries to pick up the guy coming in. This is just a look at how it gives your rush extra time to get. I don't know if anybody's even, we're engaged in both. Look at both seams are engaged. We're rerouting them, and we're already on the quarterback. And they haven't cleared 10 yards yet. Here's a look at the smash right here at the bottom of the screen. And that's a linebacker doing it. You know, DBs are better at it. A lot of times when we know it's a one-back team, we're going to play this, instead of having a will backer there, we'll put another DB in that position. That's a little used to picking the routes up a little better. Seeing the smash right there, how we play it. Oh, sorry. Here's a look. Let me see. This is the clear and square. So if you look at the top of the screen, we're in half field there to a twin open team, to Okie State. We're running with the vertical. He gets an in call. He's a little late, but you see him wheel and pick it up. I think, let me see here. It's just a nice job of, you watch the inside seam player never even is able to clear the backer up top.
Is Sam keen to tackle for the pass or is he watching the ball?
He's still keying the backfield. But again, he's keying the backfield, but he's slower. He's not going to commit in there until he's sure the ball's been given.
Is he sometimes soft versus run?
Yeah. Here's a look at the verticals out of the trip set, how Mike runs with the number 3 vertical. Now, we got something going on the bottom of the screen. We knew, you know, when they got in this set, a certain thing or a certain down and distance, we had a call, so the corner's going to bail out on it, on this one. So the free safety here at the bottom is going to protect Mike a little better. All right, here's a 3 crossing. Okay, so you see Mike, we engaged the vertical here at the bottom. Mike is closing on 3, he's a little late. Now at the compound out, you know how I said the corner has got us close the window for the backer? As you look here, my corner ends up, look at the bottom of the screen, he gets a great funnel, he gets too much of a funnel, and then he chases the guy. And he's a freshman. What he's got to do, he's got his right arm, he's got to post him. He needs to see the ball thrown at this point and come back and help that backer to close the window. He does, but it's a little bit late. So if he closes that window, they still may have completed it, but it ought to be a 5-yard completion if he's coming back. Again, how the pressure, you see this one, I'll show you. We give up our Mike backer here. We give up a backer, and we say the heck with the check down. But you see, and we're still playing too deep, and we come off that corner on the split side, and they don't have, you know, that's tough. They're not used to that. A lot of times they block that back to the tight end, and we just bring it. And you know, they still haven't cleared us by the time we're at the quarterback. Here's a great job by the corner. You see how the corner protects the underthrow here. You know, it's a stretch play. And here the guy did go inside, but still, and then he goes back out. But the corner's always going to protect the low throw and the short throw away from the safety. The safety's not very good here. He jumps the seam a little too soon.
Should you just get more depth?
Yes, more depth, and then he shouldn't have committed to the seam, you know, because until he's sure that's where the quarterback's going. Here's a good look at the twin trips now. You see how Will's halfway between actually that's a DB for us, but it's the same thing on the number 3 receiver. So we're going to protect those seams. See how watch him, he ends up cutting under and getting it. The Sam backer here, okay, should be wider this way and ought to be working with that guy coming up the boundary on the bottom a little bit more. Exactly. It's a great question. The corner at the bottom of the screen needs to, right here, he gauges his depth off of the number 3 receiver away from him first. Okay, and we tell him, and when I coach him, he is, even though he's on the other side of the formation, he is lined up in your half. So as you take your depth, make sure you got depth that you can get over him. Okay. Here's a great look at what Tony was talking about, stripping the ball and whatnot. This past year, we, in the secondary alone, in 7 different games, we pulled balls out. And in 2 of those games, we pulled 2 balls out. So we created 9 fumbles just in the secondary this year from ripping the ball out. Here he comes up and rips the ball out. Nice job of the corner squeezing in. Here's the smash. See how the corner stays on the smash. The inside guy's a little late because he's so worried about seam here, depending on the team it is. But watch the safety jump it. You know, he sees the smash right away because he sees he's keying the outside receiver as well. So the half-field safety's already outside of that flag, so he jumps it quick. It helps too. Jamie, our free safety there, Jamie's was a first-team All-American on just about every poll there was, a consensus first-team All-American, Jamie Mendez. And Thomas Randolph, the corner here at the bottom, is a guy that they're saying right now ought to be the 3rd or 4th defensive back taken in the draft. So I was pretty fortunate, really, too, to have some guys take care of me and cover pretty well. Here's a good look at the sucker route. You see at the bottom of the screen, or on the right side there, how they, you know, the 2 goes out, 1's coming in, the corner picking up the sucker. Here you'll see a good look at protecting the seam. Here's another look at how the bluff helps you. You know, showing man. You know, you get those safeties like they're coming up to cover those inside people. You know, and you get the quarterbacks to audible, hold everybody in, and get a 3-man route. You know, and you're rerouting all the receivers, taking away quick game. And that's the nice thing about it. They don't have 3-step drop now. The corner at the bottom's pretty poor. He's playing a Cathy technique, but he doesn't get the guy blocked. A nice job protecting the seam, though. See how sometimes we'll turn right into it? And it's important what he does here at the end is get between the quarterback and the receiver. So if the guy does get around you, don't run in his footprints, but get back inside of him. So he gets caught up tight. If you watch him, he's up tight bluffing the blitz. But what's great about bluffing the blitz, people audible, they think they have 3-step stop routes, and if you go to half field on it, they don't. You know, you're rolled up on those. Here's a good look at the bottom of the screen. Watch the backer knock the smash down. Here at the bottom of the screen, right near the 50. And here the corner's baiting him. That's a Cathy technique. He wants the guy to think he's a soft corner, all right, and then set it down late. Again, you see us bluffing up top. See the bluff showing the blitz? Yeah. A lot of times the corner to the wide field usually ends up with the Cathy technique, because I usually tell them the farther you are from the core formation, the looser you can play it. Here's a bluff. We're showing blitz against Nebraska. We fall out to 2 deep. They run a sprint. Here's a Cathy technique and the advantage of it. This guy runs an out route on a rolled corner. You know, everybody is taught to convert your route on a rolled corner. Well, here he's showing, you know, soft man or quarter coverage, and he ends up, you know, he's a rolled corner because the safety ends up going over the top of him. You just needed to contain the quarterback. Watch the corner all the way up top, a Cathy technique. Here's the smash route. Here we give up the backer again. Watch, we bring our backer all the way around the corner up top, and we just give up his zone, but we're still playing half field here at the bottom on the smash. He comes around and gets the quarterback. There's the clear and square again. Here at the bottom of the screen, you see the vertical. It's Cathy technique. He's calling in, picks up the squaring. Here's a good look at the bottom of the screen, how we protect the flag. See the corner pull out, and at this point, as you watch him, the corner here is between the flat and the flag, right? Here at the bottom of the screen, he's between the 2 of them, and he's got the underthrow on the flag, and always be ready to react up to the flat. It's a nice job, the safety closing the flag. Okay, do I have any time left? Okay, I'll show you a few clips of our three. And I'll start maybe in the next segment with our cover three press and what we play out of, and I'll get to the live footage first. But the reason to play cover three, to me, in the philosophy, if you hear any offensive coordinator talk, you know, they always tell you first that if there's 6 in the box, run it, 7 in the box, throw the ball, throw the stop route. Well, that's true to a point, but what you aren't going to do and what you're telling them, we played Colorado this past year, the 5th game of the year, or 6th game of the year. They came into our game averaging 300 yards a game rushing the ball, roughly, out of a one-back offense because everybody's playing them in 2 deep, stretching the gaps, and they're creasing everybody. So we felt, you know, one thing that you're going to do, if you get one-back teams and you go cover 3, you're not going to be able to run the ball because you got all gaps accounted for. If you play it all on defense, you ought to be able to shut down the run. And we end up holding them to like 60 yards total rushing in our game. And the key, though, is I don't believe you can play cover 3 and line up showing them that you're soft. So from this look, what you'll see us play all the time, from this look, you'll play man free and bump it and play. So we may not fall out to a soft corner. So now they don't have the 3-step game. So now what you're telling them all day is you're not going to run the ball. You're not going to throw the 3-step, 5-yard stop routes. Now you've got to if you want to drop back and throw the ball downfield all day, now you can do that. But you're not going to run it, and you're not going to have the easy throw. And it's really has worked well for us. It's made a huge difference for us, taking away the quick game from this alignment. And all we do from it is you see the corner at the bottom of the screen has a pretty nice technique right here. We're going to time the snap up, and we're going to take a half turn. Instead of his movement, we try and get the count. Set, hut, or whatever it is. Get the rhythm, and we're going to take a half turn. We're going to take a half turn and press out. We're pressing on the outside shoulder of that receiver. The inside backers are still keying number 2 receiver. 2 goes to the flat. Okay, widen, try and get to the curl or the slant, which he does there. There's the smash route. We don't get all the way out to it. This is a great job of stripping. This is in the Copper Bowl against Wyoming. Watch the corner that's coming chasing from behind. He comes in and pulls the ball out. He pulled 2 out in this game. He pulled 1 out on a run that we ended up getting also. Here's again the other advantage. The other advantage to showing this front is the fact that they have got to honor pressure. If you show them a cover 3 front and everybody up, what do they have to do? You may come with that pressure as well and bring those people off that corner. So now a lot of times you'll get this. They bluff, you know, they hold everybody in. We got a 2-man route on cover 3. Corner's a little late, but again, we're out late. Here's a look up top how we play cover 3, and I guess I will. It's getting late. I want to hold you guys up. I'll start with that when we get back, if anyone's interested in you know how we deal with cover 3 in the different pattern reads we get out of that. The cover 3 isn't quite as intricate with the pattern reads as the cover 2 is, because you're a guy short and you're underneath coverage. But you got the advantage of the fact that you're showing more pressure, blitzing, you know, on the snap. And again, we try and take away all that quick game passing by our alignment. And really we do. We played cover 3 probably 30% this year, and we didn't have a 3-step drop thrown on us all year because they're getting bumped